Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Shaikh Sharia Tonoy, ID 242154117. Today we are going to present on database trigger. It is an important concept in database management system. Moving to the next slide. So here is our team architect. It's myself Tonoy, Vidut Shorab and Elite. Now I will talk about what is a trigger. A trigger is a special database program that automatically executes when a specific event occurs in database. The most common events are insert, update, and delete. For example, suppose we delete a product from our database, we may want to keep a record of that deleted product. Instead of manually inserting the information into another table, we can create a trigger that does automatically so the main idea is a trigger is automatic execution in response to a database event. Moving to the next slide. Why do we use trigger? Trigger are mainly used to automate database operations and maintain data integrity. For example, they can validate data before it is inserted, maintain audit logs, update related tables, and enforce business rules. So whenever a particular event occurs, the database itself can automatically perform the required action. Going to the next slide. How does a trigger work? The process is quite simple. First, a database event occurs, such as an insert, update, or delete. Then the trigger as associated with the with that event is automatically activated. Next, if the trigger has a condition, that condition is checked. Finally, the trigger action executed. For example, if we delete a product and after delete trigger can automatically save the deleted products information into a deleted product table. So it is my part. Now next part will continue with Dut.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Alfaz Biddu. ID 2421551. Now I will talk about types of trigger. Trigger can be classified based on timing and event. Based on timing, we have before trigger, after trigger, and instead of trigger. And based on the event, we have insert, update, and delete. With two of these, we can combine it and we can make before insert, after insert, after update, uh, instead of delete. It is now that is basic trigger syntax. Um, we use create trigger to create a trigger. Here is before insert on table name, and now for each row the trigger will be activated, and the syntax start with begin and it's in between. Now before trigger execute before the database operation is completed. It uses validate data, modifying values, and prevent invalid data. Here is the example of a query which is to modify the negative salary in the database. Now, Sora will continue from this.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Hasanujaman Shora. My ID is 2421522. Now we talk about after trigger. And after trigger execute after the database operation has been complete. It is useful for logging and audit changes. For an example, when a product is deleted, we may want to keep this information for the future reference. We can create an after trigger. When the product is deleted, the trigger automatically insert its ID name and price into the deletable product. Moving to the next slide. Now we talk about old versus new. This new are allowed to trigger to access row value. New represent the new value and old represent the previous value. For an insert operation, we can use new because a new row is being created. For an update, we can use both old and new. And for a delay, we can use old because the row is being removed and there is no new row. Next slide. Now we talk about advantages and disadvantages about trigger. Trigger have many advantages. First, they execute automatically, so we don't need to manually perform certain operations. They can improve data manually, audit logs, and enforce business rules. Trigger also have some disadvantages. They can make database more difficult to debug because the action happen automatically in the background. Too many trigger can also make the database complicated and may affect performance. Now my teammate Ellie will continue the next part. Thank you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Afsan Afiseli, ID 242156113. Now, I would like to talk about some real-life applications of database triggers. Triggers are very useful because it can automatically perform action when data is inserted, updated, or deleted. There are some example of real-life applications like banking, inventory, hospital management, employee management, e-commerce, etc. Triggers are also used in employee management. Finally, these examples show that database triggers are useful in our real life, in systems, security, and maintaining data history. Let's go to the conclusion. Now, coming to the conclusion. A database trigger is an automatically executed database program. It responds to an event such as insert, delete, and update. Database trigger is an automatic executed program where we can use before execute and after execute for the operation take place and operation completed. We also use old and new access for the previous and the current value of the row. Overall, triggers are very useful for validation, automation, and maintaining data integrity. So we can say that database triggers helps to make database system more secure, reliable, and efficiency. That's all from our side. Thank you for the presentation.